we are one with God. And this idea that we're separate creates this division between us and causes us to actually have anger towards other fellow human beings. But the truth is that all of us human beings are actually one of the same. We're actually one of a whole unit. You can call it the collective consciousness, you can call it God, you can call it divine creative intelligence, whatever you want to call it. For this and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to call it God. But we are actually one with God, and this is something that they teach in a lot of the ancient Indian traditions and Hinduism. I study Advaita Vedanta specifically, which is a form of non-dualism, which essentially means that we are not separate from God and we are not separate from each other. So we experience the physical reality that we're living in these physical bodies as being separate. And yes, this physical body on a surface level may appear to be separate from you. On a surface level, we may appear to be separate, but even from a less woo-woo and mystical perspective, if you get down to the science of it, we're all made of atoms. We're all made of the same material. Even the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the earth that we walk on is all made of the same material. It's all made of these atoms. So if you get down to a molecular level, we're all made of energy. We're all made of the same thing. And from that quantum level, there is no separation between you and me. There is no separation between the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the earth that we walk on. Essentially, it is all one of this collective energy field. We are all one part of this collective energy field. So when we see each other as separate, when we see, certain belief systems as better, or we have anger towards other people because we don't agree with their beliefs, we don't agree with their actions, we don't agree with how they're living in the world. I've been victim of this. There's a lot of things going on in the world that I don't personally agree with. However, me holding on to that anger and frustration of these people not doing things how I want them to do, that only hurts myself. That only blocks me from this beautiful force, this loving force that we call God, that we call creative intelligence, that we call the divine. Because God is all loving. God is love. All of this is God's creation. All of this is made of love. And when I don't see that, then that creates fear in me, that creates anger, that creates resentment, and it creates this sense of separation, which is where a lot of us live in the daily world, and why our world is plagued with fear, with anxiety, with worry, because we see everything as separate. We see ourselves as these separate individual beings in this malevolent universe where the world's out to get us. And that's our choice. We get to choose whether or not we believe that. We get to choose whether or not we believe the universe is loving or the universe is benevolent. And when I made that switch of recognizing that, oh my gosh, my belief system tells me that the world is evil and that God is evil and that everything's out to get me, when I come from that belief system, which is oftentimes below my conscious awareness, meaning that I don't consciously recognize that I'm thinking these thoughts. It's not like I'm choosing consciously, like, I'm gonna think that God is evil and that the universe is evil. Like, no, of course we want to be happy and we want to believe in good and we want to believe that the universe is loving and benevolent. However, a lot of times our unconscious beliefs tell us otherwise, and they tell us that we're not safe. They tell us that we're not complete. They tell us that we're not whole as we are, and that we must achieve something, that we must hate the other people, that the other people are wrong, that we're not complete as we are. All these things, all these belief systems that keep us separate, they keep us separate from our divine truth that we all are ultimately one, and that there's no need to worry about anything because there is a benevolent force in the universe. Call it God, call it the divine, call it creative intelligence. There is this ultimately loving force that has our best interests in mind. And a lot of us fear death, we fear dying, but with this new belief system that God is loving, then we can actually be okay with death because it's certain. That's the only thing in life that's certain, is that we're going to die. And if we fear God and if we fear this loving force, then we experience the fear of death. But if we believe that God is loving, if we believe that the universe is benevolent, if we believe that all of this was created out of love, and that there is a benevolent force working through us and working through everything in the universe, then there is no need to fear death. There is no need to fear what's beyond this. There is no need to fear trying our best in everything that we do and showing up fully in life and living without fear. Living without fear, because a lot of us are plagued by this fear, by this anger towards other people, which is really fear of what they're doing, and, fear of us losing something that we have or not getting something that we want. So we live in this cycle of fear and anger and doubt and guilt and worry, because we don't believe that on a cellular level, we don't believe that we're being taken care of. We don't believe that everything's going to be okay.